Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Sir John Oldcastle, and we get to hear from Lord Powis today in Act 1, Scene 3. Now this is the same Lord Powis who was in a fight against Lord Herbert in Act 1, Scene 1, Lord Powis being a proto-Protestant, Lord Herbert being a Roman Catholic, religious clash. Everybody was told that they had to leave. Powis fled the city before he could get arrested, but the guys that were fighting on his side did get arrested. So this Act 1, Scene 3, we're going to get to hear from him and see what happened after all of that. But before we get to that, we also have King Henry not really wanting to arrest Lord Cobham, Sir John Oldcastle, just yet, and I'm going to use Cobham and Oldcastle interchangeably because it's the same guy. He doesn't want to arrest him just yet, but he's like, let's bring him in and I'll have a chat with him and we'll see if we can just straighten this out nicely. And then we also found out that Sir John, the parson of Wrotham, is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He pretends to be a parson, but he's actually a thief, and he wants to go steal the money that the Bishop of Rochester offered to the Duke of Suffolk. So, lots going on. In Act 1, Scene 3, we are sort of outside Lord Cobham's house, Sir John Oldcastle's house. And there's a group of poor people hanging out. There's some old retired soldiers, there's some old men, there's some beggars, there's just some various people. And they're complaining about the state of things and how miserable it is to be poor. They're like, yes, there's commandments in place that say that some people are supposed to give money to help the poor, but those people don't have money to give us anyway. They're also poor, so that doesn't really help. But they all agree that they would like to join the army and go and fight in France in the king's name rather than starve here in England. So then they sort of arrive outside Cobham's house, or realize that they're outside Cobham's house, and they're like, this guy is actually usually pretty helpful. So at that point, Sir John Oldcastle, Lord Cobham, comes out with his servant Harpool, and Cobham's kind of grumbling like, oh, what are these people doing hanging out outside? And Harpool's like, you should be better. You know better than that. You should try to help these people. So there's a little back and forth between them, and Oldcastle is eventually like, okay, let's give them some stuff. And Harpool is like, you barely have anything left yourself. You're being alienated by almost everybody because you keep talking about this religious stuff. Like, nobody's helping you. People aren't selling things to you. Like, you barely have anything to give these people. And Oldcastle is like, okay, well, the choice is we give them something or you have to get rid of them. And Harpool's like, I don't want to have to get rid of them. These people need help. So they finally settle on these people can come in and take sort of as much as they can, as much as Oldcastle has to give. So almost everybody goes inside, and Lord Cobham is still outside, and he sees there's like this one other guy sort of slinking along the bushes, and he's like, who is that guy, and what does he want? Like, what is this? And the guy takes off his hood or his mask or whatever his disguise is, and dun dun dun, it's Lord Powis. And Oldcastle's like, I know you. And he's like, yep, I'm Lord Powis. We're old friends. And they greet each other, and it's a pleasant greeting. But then Oldcastle's like, why are you here, and why are you dressed specifically like that? And Powis says, my lord, an unexpected accident hath at this time enforced me to these parts. And thus it happed. Not yet full 5 days since, now at the last assize at Hereford, it chanced that the Lord Herbert and myself, mongst other things, discoursing at the table, did fall in speech about some certain points of Wycliffe's doctrine against the papacy and the religion Catholique, maintained through the most part of Europe at this day. This willful, testy lord stuck not to say that Wycliffe was a knave, a schismatic, his doctrine devilish and heretical, and whatsoever he was maintained the same, was traitor both to God and to his country. Being moved at his peremptory speech, I told him some maintained those opinions, men and truer subjects than Lord Herbert was, and he, replying in comparisons, your name was urged, my lord, against his challenge to be a perfect favorer of the truth. And to be short, from words we fell to blows, our servants and our tenants taking parts, many on both sides hurt, and for an hour the broil by no means could be pacified until the judges, rising from the bench, were in their persons forced to part the fray. So this is more context behind what the fight in Act 1, Scene 1 was all about. This was Powis and Herbert were just like sitting around chatting, and they started talking about religion. And Powis was defending Wycliffe's beliefs, these proto-Protestant beliefs, and Herbert was saying, nope, he's a liar and a traitor, and all of that is false. And your Sir John Oldcastle, your Lord Cobham knows that that's falsehoods too, and or blah blah blah. So this is how Lord Cobham's name was brought up in the instigation of this fight. But the two of them started fighting, and then he's like, long story short, too late. We started fighting with each other, and the people on our sides jumped in, and loads of people were hurt, and the battle went on for like an hour until it had to come and be like physically broken up. It's not necessarily new information to us because we saw the fight, but it's more context for how the fight started. So Oldcastle was like, oh my goodness, I hope nobody was actually like killed in this. And Powis is like, well, Herbert was pretty seriously injured. I wouldn't be surprised if he died, and that's kind of why I'm here. Like I need to lay low for a little while here. And Cobham was like, well, I don't necessarily love it that my name came up in all of this, and also that you came here because like I have lots of enemies, and so if people are coming looking for you, that could bring the wrong kind of attention to my house. But okay, fine, yes, you can hide out here for a little while. So then Harpool comes back in, Cobham's servant Harpool comes back in to say that Butler is here to see Cobham with a message from the king. So Cobham is like, well, please show Powis where he can crash and let Butler know that he can come in. So he leaves, Butler comes back in, and he's like, hello, Sir John Oldcastle, you have been summoned by the king. And Oldcastle is like, okay, yes, I'll go see him, but you don't look so good. Like, are you okay? And Butler retells the story of how he was mugged on the way to see Sir John Oldcastle, Lord Cobham. He was mugged, he was attacked. It was somebody that was like just begging for money, and while he was going for his purse, the guy like flipped around and ended up running away with his whole purse and knocking Butler down. And he's like, I'm just really thrown off by this whole thing. So Cobham was like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. We'll put out word for like any suspicious looking persons that they should be arrested for robbery. And in the meantime, we'll take care of you here. So please come in and make yourself welcome. And that's the end of Act 1, Scene 3. So similar to, I mentioned yesterday, we have Sir John the parson on the Roman Catholic side, who is an admitted wolf in sheep's clothing. In this scene, we really get to see that Sir John Oldcastle really is a good guy. He's helping the poor. He's going to help Powis hide out and protect him from potential bad things. He knows he has enemies, but it's like he's still trying to do good, and he's going to take care of Butler after Butler was mugged. He's giving him a safe place to stay, trying to set things right. So we're definitely seeing some biases come out in the characterizations of who's on which side of Christianity in this play. So we'll see how that continues to develop when you come back tomorrow for more. I'll see you then. Mwah.